Why is no the hardest word in the world? It's just 2 letters. Yet, we say yes when our mind screams no. We say yes and feel a piece of ourselves drain away. We become gardens, overcrowded with the needs of others, with no sunlight left for ourselves. What if saying no wasn't an act of rejection, but a profound act of self-preservation? What if it was the art of pruning your own soul? This was the truth that had silenced Lyra, a musician who had lost her music. Her studio, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cage. The melodies that used to flow effortlessly were gone, replaced by a dull, persistent hum of exhaustion. Her phone buzzed, a constant reminder of promises she'd made. It was her manager. "Lyra, baby, I've got a killer opportunity. A jingle for a new cat food. The deadline's tomorrow, but you're a genius. You can whip it up, right?" She heard herself say, "Yes, of course," while her heart sank. The ink wasn't even dry on that yes when her friend called. "Lyra, you're a lifesaver. I'm moving this Saturday, my only day off. I can't do it without you." "Yes," Lyra whispered, already feeling the phantom ache in her back. Then came the family group chat, a cousin's birthday party, and wouldn't it be lovely if Lyra played a few songs? Her yes was almost automatic. Each yes was a small betrayal. Each one hammered another nail into the coffin of her creativity. Later that night, she sat at her piano, the polished keys reflecting her hollow eyes. She placed her fingers on them, ready to compose, ready to find that spark again. But there was nothing, just a vast, silent emptiness. The well was dry, her art was gone, suffocated by 1,000 other people's needs. At her lowest point, feeling like a ghost in her own life, Lyra fled. She left the relentless noise of the city behind, driving with no destination, walking aimlessly until her feet led her to a place of profound quiet. She found herself standing before a high stone wall, an old wooden gate slightly ajar. Peeking inside, she saw it, a secluded garden, a masterpiece of minimalist perfection. It wasn't wild or overflowing. It was intentional, peaceful, and there, in the center of it all, was an old, wise gardener. He wasn't planting or watering. He was doing something that seemed almost violent. With a pair of sharp shears, he was carefully and decisively pruning a magnificent rose bush, its branches reaching for the sun. Drawn in by the quiet intensity of his work, Lyra stepped into the garden. The old man, Marcus, glanced up, his eyes kind but discerning. He didn't seem surprised to see her. Maybe lost souls were a common sight in his sanctuary. "You look tired," he said, his voice as gentle as the rustling leaves. Lyra felt the dam of her composure finally break. "I am so tired," she confessed, the words catching in her throat. "Everyone wants a piece of me, a piece of my time, my energy, ... And now there's nothing left. I have nothing left for my music." Marcus didn't offer empty platitudes. He simply turned his attention back to the rose bush. He held up his shears, studied a branch of green, vibrant, perfectly healthy-looking branch hand. Then, with a sharp, clean asterisk, snip asterisk, he cut it. The branch fell silently to the manicured soil below. He looked at Lyra. "Was that a cruel act?" he asked. Lyra was confused. I don't know," she stammered. "It looked like a healthy branch." Marcus nodded slowly, a knowing smile touching his lips. "It was," he confirmed. "But you see, this bush has a finite amount of energy, just like you. If I let it grow 100 small, good branches, it will only ever produce 100 small, weak flowers. its energy will be too divided. To get the magnificent, deep, red roses it's capable of growing, I must choose. I must say no to the good branches, so the best branches can truly thrive. This isn't rejection, my dear. It is selection. He knelt down and pointed to some tiny green sprouts at the base of the bush. And these, he said, pulling them out with a gentle tug, these are weeds. They look harmless, but they steal water and sunlight. You, Lyra, are this garden. Your yes to everything is like letting every weed grow unchecked. Those urgent requests from others, the little favors, the obligations you feel you can't refuse, ... They are the weeds. They are choking your roses. And your music. Your music is the rose. Saying no is not building a wall around your heart. It is simply weeding your garden. The world seemed to fall away. Lyra stared at the pruned rose bush. Where she had first seen violence, she now saw intention. The bush didn't look wounded. It looked focused, strong, all of its life force directed toward a singular, beautiful purpose. A lightning bolt of understanding struck her. It wasn't kindness that made her say yes. It was fear. Fear of disappointing people. Fear of being disliked. Fear of conflict. And in that moment, she saw it with devastating clarity. Every single yes she had given to a weed was an unconscious, silent no to her own rose. The immense weight of guilt she'd carried, the feeling that she was failing everyone, suddenly felt misplaced. For the first time, she imagined taking those shears to her own life, not with anger, but with the careful, loving precision of a gardener. She felt a profound sense of permission wash over her. Permission to protect her energy. Permission to tend to her own soul. Weeks later, Lyra was back in her studio. The space felt different. It was hers again. The air was still, but it was a stillness filled with potential, not emptiness. Her phone rang, the familiar buzz, no longer triggering a spike of anxiety. It was her manager, Lyra. Great news. The cat food people loved the jingle. Now they want one for dog biscuits. Super urgent. Deadline is Friday. You in? The old Lyra would have sighed and said yes. The old Lyra would have already been calculating the sleep she'd lose. But this was the new Lyra. She took a slow, steadying breath. She heard the gardener's voice in her mind. This is not rejection. It is selection. She smiled, a small, genuine smile. I'm afraid I have to say no to that, she said, her voice calm and kind, yet unshakably firm. My focus is on my own album right now. There was a stunned silence on the other end of the line, but Lyra didn't wait for a response. She hung up, and instead of the expected wave of guilt, she felt a thrilling rush of power, a feeling of coming home to herself. She turned to her piano, her fingers finding the keys as if they were old friends, and for the first time in months, a melody began to pour out. It was fragile, then it grew stronger, and it was complex and beautiful and true. It was hers. Saying no isn't about being selfish. It's about being strategic with your soul's energy. It's about choosing your best flowers over a field of weeds. So, what are you saying yes to today that's taking sunlight away from your own growth? Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more. It helps us grow our own garden here. Take care of yourselves.